Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and I've got another battle video for you. So if you notice, I'm actually speeding up this battle because it ended up being a very long battle. So I'm going to lead off with Claydol. I'm looking at my opponent's team. There's a lot of scary Pokemon. My opponent actually misclicked. This is what he told me after the battle. He misclicked that Earth Power, so he's going to actually swap out, bring in Blastoise, and here I actually misclicked. So I went for Light Screen there. Most Nidokings are special attackers, so that's why I set up the Light Screen. And I was actually expecting Ice Beam to take me out, but he actually switches into his Blastoise, and I'm going to be Toxic on my Jellicent. So now my Jellicent is badly poisoned, but here I actually go for the Toxic, wanting to hit that Blastoise, but it's alright hitting this Umbreon. Umbreon's a pretty bulky Pokemon, and this one actually has Synchronize, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. So now we're both getting some damage on our bulky Pokemon, and here I go into Chestnut. Chestnut can take anything this Umbreon wants to do to it. So this Umbreon actually has Heal Bell, so it's going to be able to heal any status I put on it. And I'm actually just going to set up Leech Seed because I'm pretty sure my opponent was going to switch out. He's not going to let his Umbreon go down since Umbreon is such a good Pokemon on his team. It's such a good Cleric. So now I'm going to go into my Claydol. This Claydol has a lot of special defense, and it can take this Flamethrower pretty well. Plus, I'm going to get some health back from the Leech Seed. So now he's going to switch out, knowing that I probably have Earth Power on my Claydol, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to finally set up my own Stealth Rocks. And here I'm going to switch into Chestnut. Chestnut can take anything Umbreon wants to do. Plus, I don't want my Claydol to go down so early in the game. It's a pretty good Pokemon in this battle, so I'm going to bring in my Chestnut as he's going to now pivot into his Delphox. This is why this battle ended up being pretty long. There's a lot of switches involved. So now I'm going to use this as an opportunity to set up my spikes. And that's really nice because I've got Stealth Rocks on the field, plus there's now spikes on the field, and I can just go back into my Claydol because Claydol can take flamethrowers for days. So now I'm going to use this as an opportunity to get back my Light Screen as my opponent actually goes for Grass Knot. So I did not realize this thing had the Grass Knot on it, but it's going to end up being able to take out my Claydol with the next Grass Knot. So I'm going to go into Deblade, expecting maybe a Grass Knot, but he makes a better play and goes for Shadow Ball, plus it's the special defense drop, and that's not really good for my Deblade. I was probably going to go for the Shadow Sneak and be able to take down the Delphox, but I'm not going to stay in with the special defense drop like that. So I'm going to bring back out my Claydol and just let it go down. That's very unfortunate though. I probably should have just let it go down first off, and I just burnt up some of my Light Screen turns. So now I'm going to go into my nice and beautiful Honchkrow. So now my opponent switches in their Nidoking, and I'm actually going to bring the Blade in because I was actually expecting Ice Beam, but seeing that this Nidoking does not have Ice Beam, that's pretty interesting. But he goes for the Thunderbolt. That does quite a bit of damage to my Blade, and I finish off the Nidoking with a Shadow Sneak. So now Umbreon's back on the field, and my best switch in onto Umbreon is my Chestnut because this thing cannot do much damage to my Chestnut. Plus, I've got leftovers, and I can just set up spikes. So now my opponent's going to switch out the Umbreon and bring Garchomp in, and I'm going to get some spikes up. And here, I'm not sure what Garchomp can do. I know it can get Flamethrower, Fire Blast, and that would be horrible if it used that on me. But it actually has Fire Fang, and I know Chestnut can take Fire Fangs pretty well. I go for the Leech Seed there to get a little bit more health back, but unfortunately, my Chestnut misses. So here, I'm actually going to go for the Spiky Shield. That way I can do some more damage on this Garchomp without taking any damage myself. And I'm in a good position. Garchomp's going to go for the Fire Fang, and I'm going to finally get this Leech Seed up. So now I'm going to be able to be getting some more health back. This Chestnut is a nice, very bulky Pokemon. Umbreon cannot do anything, and Garchomp is, even with Garchomp's super high attack, it's not doing that much with Fire Fang. So now Delphox comes back out. I actually go for the Spiky Shield just in case he wants to attack. But now Chestnut's not in the best position here. This Delphox pretty much can completely destroy it. And I'm going to bring in my Typhlosion expecting a fire move. And it ends up being the right play. So now my Typhlosion is here on the field. And this Typhlosion is a Firium Z Typhlosion. That's why it didn't outspeed the Delphox. And unfortunately, the Hidden Power Rock will not be enough to finish off the Delphox. So I'm going to have to switch out to keep my Typhlosion alive. And I actually bring in Honchkrow just in case my opponent wants to go for a Psychic or even that Shadow Ball again. And Honchkrow takes that like a beast. And I can finish off this Delphox with a Sucker Punch. Plus, my Honchkrow gets the Moxie boost. So this Honchkrow is Choice Banded and it hits hard. And here I'm actually going to switch out because I think Honchkrow has some more time in it. Plus, I don't want to take the Toxic from this Blastoise. My Jellicent is already poisoned, so I'm going to bring it in and just let this thing go for the Toxic. And now it's switched out, and I can just go for the Toxic myself. Unfortunately, I don't get the Toxic on that bulky Blastoise, but the Garchomp, that's alright. I mean, this Garchomp has taken a lot of damage, and it is getting low on health. And if I can get rid of this Garchomp, it'll be really nice because this Garchomp is a big threat. So here, I'm actually going to go for Protect. Actually wanting to get this Toxic to rack up on this Garchomp. And he instead goes for the Tectonic Rage. So this is going to do some damage to my Jellicent, but luckily my Jellicent ends up living because I went for Protect there. So that was really the best time to use Protect right there. And now I'm going to switch out my Jellicent. It's not going to take any hits from this thing, as my opponent goes for Earthquake. I was pretty sure there's no reason for him to go for Fire Fang in this instance, so Chestnut is a safe Pokemon to bring in. Plus, Garchomp's going to go down to the Toxic Poison. So now I've got my Chestnut here on the field, and now Articuno comes out. So Articuno, it's a Pokemon that I haven't really seen in competitive battling that much, but this thing has Ice Beam, so it's going to do a little bit of damage to my Doublade, and I bring in my Doublade because it can take that pretty well. It's going to take another Ice Beam, but now I just go for Gyro Ball, and that will finish off the Articuno. So now Articuno goes down after that, and Blastoise comes back in. So now, this Blastoise is taking some more damage, and I'm just going to get some chip damage before my beautiful Doublade goes down to the Scald. So I think this is in a good position here. This Blastoise is at low enough health that I'm pretty sure my Honchkrow can finish it off. Unfortunately, I thought my Honchkrow could outspeed the Blastoise, so that's really stinks there that my Honchkrow goes down basically for free. So here I do a crazy pivot, I bring in Typhlosion, and then go into Jellicent. That way I will bait this Blastoise to go for a water move, and I can bring in Jellicent and basically get some free health back. And that will help me live longer with the Jellicent, and I can fire off a Toxic and get this bulky Blastoise poison. So this Jellicent can take pretty much what Blastoise wants to do, unless it has Dark Pulse. That will do a lot more damage. But looking at this, no, it does not have Dark Pulse. And this way, if I have Jellicent here, this Blastoise cannot go for a Rapid Spin, even if it has it. So now it just goes down. I finish it off with the Hex, and that's really nice. So now Umbreon's going to be back here on the field. It's going to take some damage from the Stealth Rocks, from the Spikes, and here this Umbreon's going to go for Wish, and instead of switching out, I'm just going to get a Toxic on this thing. That way, put some more pressure on this Umbreon. I know it has Heal Bell, I know it has Wish, but if I can have it Toxic, it'll start whittling down. That way, even when it protects, it'll lose some health. So I'm in an okay position. There's no reason for me to keep this Jellicent alive. So I'm just going to go for another Toxic, just in case Umbreon goes for Heal Bell there. Jellicent can make sure this thing is Toxic Poison by the time it goes down. And here my Jellicent will go down. Luckily, this thing has just went for a Protect, so now it cannot protect again reliably. So I'm just going to fire off the Firium Z. And instead of going for Z Sunny Day, since this Typhlosion is at such low health, I'm just going to hit it with an Inferno Overdrive and do as much damage as I can. This Umbreon takes that very well, so this Umbreon is very bulky. That's the thing about Umbreon, it's very bulky. So now I'm going to bring in my Chestnut. I have brought this thing to low enough health that Chestnut can finish this off with a Drain Punch. He actually goes for a Heal Bell there, probably just expecting me to go for Spiky Shield, but here in this situation, I had no reason to go for Spiky Shield, and I just finished the battle with a Drain Punch. So Chestnut really worked out here. That Umbreon was giving me trouble, but in the end, Chestnut was able to finish it off. So if you like this battle, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next battle video.